Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do something a bit different. I'm actually really excited for this. I thought that whenever I would see someone using a common function or describing a common function, I would just take that video, clip it, show it to you guys, and then show you guys my interpretation or analysis of that clip. So yeah, this following clip is from an author named Neil Gaiman. I think that he is on the SINE axis. And here he's talking about his creative process when he's writing a book or coming up with an idea.
Everybody knows that if you get bitten by a werewolf, when the moon is full, you will turn into a wolf. You know that? There's that moment where you're sitting thinking, so what happens if a werewolf bites a goldfish? Or that moment where you start thinking, well, actually, what happens if a werewolf sinks its fangs into a chair? And what if you're sitting in that chair and the moonlight touches it and slowly it starts feeling more and more wolfish and then it growls and then what about oh my God, then you'd have to set it in the winter because you'd need the snow for people to try and figure out why you've got chair leg marks in the snow by the body that's had its throat ripped out. And suddenly you have a story.
Okay, so yeah, I just think it's perfect because there's a bunch of different little things happening that's contributing to the NESI or SINE perceiving axis. So one is that he takes a known concept. I think that's SI and NE. The NE is the conceptual part, like the werewolf, it's a story trope and it's like an idea, I guess. So that's NE, but the SI part is that it's obviously not a new idea. It's been around for, I guess, probably centuries. So he takes that, I guess, SI-NE combination, and then he changes one aspect of it. So instead of biting a person, the person would be one aspect. I guess the victim, it's like the one aspect in this, one tangible aspect too, in this bigger, I guess, concept of this werewolf transformation story. Yeah, it's interesting. It's not like, I think NI would think of it more thematically as like, okay, it's a transformation story, or what are the themes in the story? I mean, and you can think about that too, but I think that's like mainly NI's domain. Okay, anyway, taking this, changing one aspect to another known concrete aspect, right? Because a chair is obviously also concrete. It's not like a new invention. Everyone knows what a chair is. But yeah, one little detailed component gets changed from like a human person to a chair. So I think SI is recalling these objects like a human and a chair, and NE is the one who's like, what if, like what if it changed? What if it switched? And then you do that mental exercise, and then afterwards, I think NE is the one that goes, okay, so what will be the consequence of that, like the imaginary consequence of that? I think NI could do it too, but NI wouldn't get into that situation in the first place. Like you could ask an NI user like, oh, what if a werewolf bit a chair? And NI could, I guess, think of a plot, because NI is very plot oriented, time cause and effect based, correlation oriented. But yeah, NE would be the one to ask the question in the first place. So I feel like NE-SI users are way more likely to get into this situation in the first place. I think that's actually why we're so ruminating. So yeah, I'm an INFP. I'm also on the same axis. Yeah, because we're constantly like, oh, what if in the past, instead of saying no to going to this event, I said yes. And then like, what if that happened? And then my life would be so different. Yeah, with NISE people, I think they are they're less likely to do that. They're more like, okay, what can I do differently in the present to make my future different? But NESI is just about alternate universes, because it's like, oh, what if this random component way back in my past changed? that cause a ricochet change and then everything's different. Yeah, so I think that is just super relatable to me. That is how I come up with all of my ideas. It's about a combination, a new combination, the NE, of known objects, which is SI. Yeah, let me know if you are NESI and if you relate to this thought process, or if you are NISE but you also relate to this thought process, or you don't relate to it, whatever. I would love to know in the comments below. Yeah, I'm kind of excited for this because a lot of times we think of the common functions in terms of what MBTI YouTubers tell us, or in terms of definitions. So definitions are great. I'm not knocking TI, but a lot of times it's hard for us to visualize or to really understand what that looks like. Yeah, because the problem with a lot of MBTI YouTubers speaking on their experience is that I think a lot of them are typed incorrectly. So, if you are presenting as an INFP, but actually, I don't know, actually you're an INFJ, then when you're describing your experience of NESI, then it can sound off. And this is how definitions become ever expanded. So yeah, I think with TI, FE, TI makes the definitions, but FE tends to validate everyone's experience. So it's it's taking what everyone says and the definition just becomes bigger and bigger and more diluted and less useful or less truthful. So, okay, I went on a huge tangent there, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you would like me to type you, or if you would like to learn more about how I type people, that can be found on my website. I'll put the link in the description below. And yeah, thanks so much for watching.